What's up, lore masters? So while trying to rack my brain on various topics that I could do that tie science fiction into the United States Day of Thanksgiving, I finally landed on analyzing the similarities of Star Trek's take on the traditional values we think of when we celebrate Thanksgiving. What I found quite interesting is how different the Federation can be from the United States and yet still hold some of the traditions that the United States celebrates. In this video essay, I'm going to be breaking down 4 specific characters that I think highlights the differences and similarities of the Federation and the United States Day of Thanksgiving. These include Kirk, Picard, Janeway, and Sisko. We'll briefly touch on their beliefs to varying degrees and then go over how, regardless of what they believe, that all of them find a way to celebrate the same traditions and values that we do today, or at least what we say we want to celebrate today. So, let's establish the characters that we are analyzing. The first will be a breakdown of Kirk, who is arguably a monotheist, likely Christian. I qualify my statements here because you can argue that Kirk is one way or the other depending on what episode you're watching. However, when taking the sum total of work for Kirk, it seems more likely than not that he is a monotheist and he does believe in the Christian God. Most of the dialogue seems to indicate that he has some form of belief and that it's important to him. Picard couldn't be further from that of Kirk in this regard. I would say that 98% of his dialogue and interactions show him to be atheist, including Star Trek Generations, which we'll get into later. His beliefs are most prevalent in TNG's Who Watches the Watchers, but again, most all of his interactions with religion show a dramatic disdain for religious activity and that of religious thought. Janeway is an atheist as well, and she has one of the best stances on atheism in the entire universe, in my opinion. Her lack of belief can be seen in Sacred Ground, but again, like others, you can tell throughout the total sum of the series of Voyager. Sisko is an interesting mixed bag. He is the one example that I know of where we see someone who starts out as an atheist and is slowly converted back into religion. There are several episodes in early DS9 where Sisko has no belief in a god, gods, or an afterlife. One of the most prominent examples would be that of DS9's The Ship, where the female Vorta asks him if he has any faith, and he admits that he believes in ideals and things such as the Federation, the implication being no god exists in his heart. Again, we see the change throughout the series, and he slowly becomes deeply religious. The wormhole aliens becoming prophets, becoming gods to him. So with the main character's belief systems established, what does this have to do with anything? Well, it shows a diverse group of people that not only believe drastically different things, and are a part of a diverse federation, but amazingly, still share similar values and believe in some sense of fellowship to one degree or another. When it comes to the monotheist Kirk, we see in the original series episode Charlie X that he still allows his ship to celebrate Thanksgiving, and in multiple episodes the captain is observed encouraging various forms of fellowship. It is important to him that there is a unity, that those on his ship and his friends come together to celebrate, to mourn, and to just relax. There's a distinct understanding that the celebration of various holidays and allowing for freedom of thought and religion is important. Picard, again being somewhat different, generally likes to keep a separation from his crew. In fact, the conclusion of his arc is in the series finale, where he finally plays poker with the command staff and lets his guard down. However, even though most of his arc is distinct in his need for distance and extreme disdain of anything that relates to a god or gods, he still allows historically religious festivals on his vessel, and he encourages his command staff to become closer and to work better together. He even has a few instances where the command staff are invited to his quarters to have discussions. However, the most telling for Picard is when we see him in the Nexus in Star Trek Generations. Picard quite clearly wishes to be surrounded by family, celebrating Christmas and the giving of gifts. While many have claimed that this makes him Christian, it's more likely that he wishes to have fellowship and to have an actual family and celebrate the traditions of his historical heritage. You know, his historical heritage, being French, and celebrating Christmas in what is clearly a house meant to appeal to an American audience. Picard is weird. He loves Christmas, what it stands for, or at least what it's meant to stand for, from a secular point of view, and just wants to be surrounded by those he loves. His bigoted opinions of the religious aside, I think this is exactly how an atheist should be. Janeway and early season DS9 Sisko are both similar in how they operate with tradition. Both have their own lack of belief in a god or gods, but allow those around them to practice however they want. Initially with Sisko and through the entire series with Janeway, their lack of faith doesn't mean that they don't encourage their crew to come together and even celebrate the holidays that the crew enjoys. They even participate in holidays, both that of the Federation, which are distinctly secular, and that of other species like the Bajorans. They enjoy the different festivals and encourage those around them to experience it fully. All of the captains, all of these characters have diverse opinions on religion and tradition, which are tied a lot of the time. And ironically, both camps, those who did believe and those who didn't, had distinct disagreements on their non-belief or their belief. Sisko and Kirk would disagree when it comes to religion, and Janeway and Picard would disagree on the types of atheism and secularism. And yet, all of these people still wanted others to celebrate the traditions and holidays, and they wanted to be a part of it as well. When looking at the Federation's stance on religion and tradition, it gets a bit more tricky. To my knowledge, we never see an official stance on any of these topics. However, we do see most of the heroes, starting from TNG and on, are atheist and don't believe in a god or gods. We also see that Starfleet and the Federation do not recognize beings such as the Q or the Bajoran wormhole aliens as gods either, even though those entities effectively have the powers we would expect God to have. However, those within the Federation are allowed to celebrate what they wish, even on military ships, and while there is a mild discomfort with the religious within Starfleet, it's accepted. So overall, it's reasonable to say that while the Federation probably either takes a neutral stance or negative stance on religion and historical tradition, they understand and respect the importance of people coming together, believing what they want, and celebrating in the way that they want to celebrate. So again, how does this all come together? Why does it matter on Thanksgiving? Because again, to tie it all back in, this essay will be, in theory, uploaded on that of the United States Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a time when people come together to celebrate all of the good things together, everything they've worked for, everything they have. I'll admit there is a segment of society that demands there be a focus on religion and heritage, and an even more annoying counter segment that demands the other segment be abolished and wants to destroy the idea of Thanksgiving altogether. But most people just want to celebrate being a part of a larger whole and that they can accept or at least tolerate each other's diversity. A holiday that was originally heavily steeped in a religious homogeneity has become one where those who are diverse can just enjoy their differences. I cannot think of something more representative of utopia and that of humanity getting it right than these ideals being reflected not only in Star Trek, but being shown in real life. To those who celebrate it on this day, happy Thanksgiving, and to those who don't, happy Thursday. As always, the point of this video is to start a discussion. All of the things I've stated are my opinions, so let me know what yours are. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.